You know, it's always been what you're doing next when you're fighting Wilder, when you're doing this. Now it's just focus on this fight, and it's an all or nothing fight.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Here we are again, 6 months on and 6,000 miles east.
What a stage! What a setting!
For another mouth-watering heavyweight blockbuster.
Great heavyweight division.
A fight or flight baptism of fire for one of boxing's most influential figures. And an event that brings the entire sporting world to a standstill.
He's going to be criticised. You look at him, you think this guy doesn't look like a heavyweight fighter.
Ruiz Jr.
After watching Deontay Wilder do what he does best, dismantling Ortiz with a single punch in the 7th, we are left with a solemn reminder.
Right hand lays out Luis Ortiz.
Right now, in a thriving sport and an airtight division, there is simply no margin for error.
And anyone at this level of heavyweight boxing especially is a threat.
And where the narrative fits Joshua's redemption in the rematch, Ruiz Jr. bids to wreak havoc, rewriting his own heavyweight narrative.
And I'm going to win here the same way that I won June 1st, and I'm going to prove everybody wrong.
As we edge closer and closer to having a newly crowned undisputed king, December 7th. The clash on the dunes, Joshua versus Ruiz 2. Welcome to a Motivedia presentation.
The problem was he's met his bogeyman in Andy Ruiz Jr.
This video is sponsored by Luxury Bazaar, a place where you'll find the world's most luxurious brands of watches, jewelry, and accessories at knockout prices. The link will be in the description so you too can bring that winning feeling to your holiday season.
And you're not just bringing a fight to the kingdom, you are bringing the biggest fight in world boxing.
Diriyah, a small remote town on the outskirts of the Saudi capital, rich in history and full of promise, and as the masses flood the purpose-built 15,000-seat arena, it opens the doors for two of today's biggest sporting icons to cement history of their own.
I'm going to make another history, and I'm going to win here the same fashion, the same way that I won June 1st.
The stakes right now for Joshua in particular are as high as ever. If he loses again, it places a huge question mark on the remainder of his career.
I think if he loses to Ruiz again, he'll have to have a very long look at what he does with his boxing career.
Whereas if he wins, overcoming the psychological battle and rectifying the only blemish on his record, much like Lennox Lewis's rematch against Rockman, it will make for a legacy-defining moment. After all, as the 5th fastest man to win a heavyweight title, and with 8 world title fights to his name, Joshua has taken more risks than any other heavyweight on his rise through the ranks, and he's not always had it completely his own way. So now, looking to channel the same energy that saw him through the Klitschko fight, we see a slimmer, leaner, and faster version of the Brit coming to the Middle East.
Hopefully by the time the fight comes, it'll be the best version of me, better than I was 6 months ago.
And where the loss came, not through Ruiz's doing, but through his own complacency, AJ's fire for the rematch will be burning like no other night of his career.
And if I let the loss on June 1st define me, who knows what the next 10 years of my boxing career can go on to be.
That summer night for Ruiz Jr. has been described in many ways. A shock, a fluke, or the inevitable.
The biggest upset in 2019 is going to happen.
Though with that touching post-fight press conference came a sense of entitlement.
Our lives is going to change. We don't have to struggle no more.
After all, when December 7th arrives, it marks 3 years since Ruiz's controversial decision loss in Auckland. An agonizing night against Joseph Parker that would either make him or break him. And one which has seen him blast away his next 4 opponents to now hold 3 of the 4 major belts.
Down goes Fergus, right on the ear.
So where many focused on Joshua, one of boxing's elite, bowing graciously in defeat, the rest saw his Mexican counterpart dotting the full stop ending to his own story of vindication.
I believed in myself. I had the opportunity one time with Joseph Parker, And this time I wasn't going to let this opportunity go.
Now the question remains of what is more dangerous, a man with nothing to lose or everything to gain, and whether the champion has more or less hunger after 6 months of superstardom.
My life changed after we won the Anthony Joshua fight, and you know, there's still more to prove.
Freddie Roach called it right first time, backing his former fighter.
They take him lightly, they're making a big mistake, because this guy can fight. He can.
Though where Ruiz vows to make history again in a week's time, his preparation will be vital. A cleaner diet, more time to prepare, and money to go the extra mile. There will be no room for excuses and no margin for error come December 7th.
Ruiz is a bad boy, man, and to me, he's the perfect heavyweight.
Appearance-wise, all saw how it looked the first time out, though this time around, it will be taken much more seriously. Both come in as 30-year-old orthodox fighters. However, that's where the similarities end. Joshua ticks all the boxes on paper, but it will be interesting just how light we see the Brit for the weigh-in. In the first fight, Joshua came in almost 10 kilos lighter, with Ruiz weighing in at almost 270 pounds. Slimming down, AJ would have to take off another 6 to be the weight we saw him against Parker.
A lot of people felt that when he lost to Ruiz, that he's too muscle bound. You know, that's part of his problem.
Factors that, depending on the tactics for the fight, could make all the difference.
So now I'm apparently fighting the quickest hands and the best fighter in the division. Once I beat him, I want everyone to bow to me and tell me how great I am.
With a team of consummate professionals as deep as any other in boxing, Joshua's training camp will have covered all bases.
Beautiful. That's what we got to bring him on to.
And so, with all the rumors and issues from the first camp, it will be interesting to see in what frame of mind Joshua enters the ring on the 7th. After all, in the words of Tyson Fury, every fighter has a boogeyman.
It wasn't like he landed some lucky punch. This guy was giving him a beatdown. I thought he lost every single round.
Boogeyman or not, up until what many consider the concussion shot, the first fight looked just like any other AJ fight. And with Ruiz down in the 3rd, it looked to be done and dusted early on.
Ruiz in big trouble here.
And so the rematch shines a light on both men. Can Joshua keep the Mexican fighter at bay as he looks to unload on the way in? Or can Ruiz use his guise and offensive prowess to lure Joshua into another standoff? For the past 6 months, the what-ifs would have played over and over in the minds of Joshua and his team. Scrutiny that can either have helped them right their wrongs or create even more pressure going into the rematch.
He wants to try and beat Ruiz and get his titles back. He doesn't want to fight lower level opponents, and that's the reality of it.
Whereas Ruiz, with a thud that sits somewhere between Fury's keep you at bay power and Wilder's bring the house down power, will be looking to upset the betting odds all over again.
Anthony, don't underestimate this little fat boy. I'm coming for you.
Joshua will enter with much more respect, aiming to get behind his jab and look to counter with big single or 1-2 shots at only the most perfect openings. Much like the measured and mindful tact self-labeled as boxing finesse that beat Takam and Parker 18 months ago.
The old saying is, the right hand can take you around the block, but a good jab will take you around the world.
Whereas there is no doubt that Ruiz Jr., despite being knocked down for the first time in his career, brings more of the same energy to the rematch.
You know, he got knocked down 4 times. He gave up, in my opinion.
And if the fight catches fire, turning into a trade-off, the fight could swing into the Mexican champion's favor once again.
But I think I can see it happening again.
Originally considered a mismatch, we now see a near 50-50 matchup on a night that will put either man right on the doorstep of heavyweight unification.
Touch gloves now, man, you're boxing at the bell.
And regardless of outcome, with Wilder versus Fury now looking set for February next year, and Alexander Usyk standing as mandatory for the winner, the division carries huge momentum into 2020. For what could be the year we finally see the crown settle on the new, undisputed heavyweight champion. The sporting world will stand still as we see 3 belts on the line, 2 humble champions, and only 1 winner. Joshua versus Ruiz, the rematch.